Trainer 1 ankle mobility drills. All right? Rather than giving you 1,000 different drills with each of these segments, I'm just going to give you a couple of ideas of how we can start. All right? And with ankle mobility, the main mobilization we're looking to improve here is moving into dorsiflexion. All right? When I dorsiflex my ankles, that simply means that I'm sitting back on my heels. So if I push my knees too far forward, I come forward onto my toes, right? And that is what we call, I'm trying to dorsiflex back. So we have plantar flexion where I come onto my toes, and we have dorsiflexion, again, where this would be, sitting back on your heels in a squat or whatever it may be. What we often see with clients is that when we're doing something like an overhead squat or a squat, they'll sit back and then they'll literally stop. I can come forward on my toes and increase my range of motion, but I do so at the expense of my knees. Okay, so we want to think about what can we do, what are some common drills that we can utilize, and some positions we can get into to work on that specific restriction. The first one that we like, okay, for clients that maybe are just starting with this, okay, people that are very restricted and don't necessarily have a sense of that, okay, is in what we call a closed chain position. I like this because we can cue it with core engagements, all right? We're pushing into the floor, therefore I can tighten my abs like I'm holding a plank, all right? So we're going to cue the client, tighten your abs and tighten your butt. Okay, this is simply the downward dog position. So the first mobilization would simply be to get everything nice and tight, hike up in the downward dog, push through the hands, and push all your weight into this area. The goal would be to press into the heels and then come back momentarily into this position. For people that have just started with this, I also want to make sure that, again, we're pushing through and come back down. They can de-weight themselves by coming onto their knees with each rep. The progression will simply lead to do a set of 10 without making that happen. All right, now from there, we can move to something like an inchworm. All right, the inchworm is a little bit different because I can use my hands now to drive farther back into this dorsiflexion and come back. All right, the inchworm has several variations. I can walk forward and back. I can bring my feet towards me as well. I can also perform walking inchworms where, once again, I step up, I come back, or I walk back and step down. All of those are going to kind of hit it from different vectors, and just like strength training, we like to kind of change up the same patterns over several weeks. So for the first 3 weeks, I might have my client doing a downward dog, and then we would progress to an inchworm and then vary that up in some way, over the course of several weeks. So what we can also do is look at one ankle at a time. All right, so a cross-leg ankle rock looks like this. I simply cross one leg, push my heels into the ground, and come back. You can certainly also do this by walking back with your hands, coming forward. It's a little trickier to do moving with that one, but that would be a progression. My advice would be to start bilateral and then move to unilateral once the client has good weight bearing capacity, because again, you're going to be on your hands for a while with that. The other one that we want to look at is in standing positions. If the client has issues with their upper extremity, meaning when they're on the floor, they might, they can't get their arms over their head, they have issues with their shoulders, then a standing position or a bit more of an open chain situation is a little bit better. So what I do is, we ask the client to stand here at a wall. All right, I'm pressing my hands into the wall, cueing the client to tighten their abs. All right, I'm actually going to bring my foot almost to the wall. What I want to do is drive my knee over my toes to get as far forward as I can without my heel coming off the ground. I'll actually do this again with this box over here so you can see that a little bit better. I'm trying to drive my knee forward until my heel starts to do that. All right, now if I can get my knee all the way to the wall, I can with this. I'm going to move back a little bit until I can't anymore. So that's kind of a progressive way to do that. So once again, come back. What we can do to kind of improve this a little bit or spice this up is you can actually full prone, put elevate the toes on this thing. You can drive further into dorsiflexion. Oftentimes we use like a doorway wedge. I'm just using this as an example, but it's the same concept. But really anything that causes the knees to drive over the toes is going to train dorsiflexion. So this is a dorsiflexion mobilization. We just want to come as far as we can without pitching forward on the toes. So immediately after we do one of these isolated drills, I'll work on the client's dorsiflexion, we'll go immediately back into something like a squat. We'll legged split squat, where we now ingrain this dorsiflexion that we trained into functional movements.